I think we're live, maybe, now that I finally got signed in. Let me make sure, refresh this, see if we're going. Oh, and my camera is not even facing where it's supposed to be facing. Whoops. Come on, you can do it. Are we live? Maybe. I see a black screen. Do you have volume? There we go. Okay. Yay! Finally. That was a mess. For some reason, my computer signed me out on my laptop of Google Chrome, and I wasn't expecting that. So I have no idea what my password is because I don't know any of my passwords. So I had to go hunting for that before I could get back in. So sorry about that. I thought it was going to be early tonight, and that was unexpected. Okay. Let's see. Let me get my chat window up. And then we can get started. Joe, I'm sort of back to short hair. I just cut off all the fried parts when I bleached or did the color removal to get the black out of my hair. What you couldn't tell on video, it looked semi-healthy, but when you touched it, it was like straw. It was horrible. So finally it was long enough I could chop off all the unhealthy parts. So now I can grow it back out and be healthy, or have healthy, soft hair again, which is amazing. Okay, let's see. And do I have the recording going? Nope. Now we are recording, and oh my gosh, that was one of those nights where everything is just like not going right. So let's go. If you're still, well, I was going to tell you, if you're still loading, refresh. Sometimes that'll work, but you wouldn't hear me say that to you right now if it was still loading, so that wouldn't do you any good. And now I'm going to get started. So I'm working in Pan Pastels, just for transparency. Pan Pastels did provide me with the tools besides the spray that I'm going to be using in this video. Just the Pan Pastels and the some of the blending sticks. Some of them I bought on my own. Paper I bought on my own. I'm not otherwise paid to use their products. I only, really technically had to do one video on them, which I loved. So now you'll see more because I love them. They turned out to be pretty amazing, which was a big surprise to me because I always thought, if you've been around for very long, you know my constant complaints about pastels. They freak me out. I absolutely hate the feel of like the dry chalkiness of pastels on my hands. So every time someone was like, oh, you should do Pan Pastels, I was like, no, that's not going to happen. But then when Pan Pastels contacted me, I'm like, you know what, you guys have been asking for a while. If they're going to provide me with the pastels, okay, fine, I'll give it a try. Oh my gosh. Life-changing. These are amazing. I love them for the soft backgrounds. They lay down fast. And let's go ahead and get started. So let's see. Ursi said, is that drawing of an otter? What fine idea for pastels? Wow. An otter would be cute, but no, this guy's a polar bear. It's hard to tell because these are super loose drawings. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm using these soft tools. They are SOFFT. I think I have my supplies in the description. If not, I'm sorry. But I like the one, at least for the bigger areas, that's kind of a more wide rounded tip. This one's really nice. And I didn't even think to put a palette video over the pastels. Maybe next time. But what I'm just going to do, actually, let me pull one of these up so you get an idea. So I've got my little pastels, and I'm just going to rub a little bit of that, get that onto my soft tool, and then I can go straight onto my paper. Now, the majority of my background is going to be white. I don't know how white I'm going to be able to get this sanded paper. So one kind of negative thing about sanded paper, it's all off white. And that's a little frustrating. I really wish this came in white, but it doesn't. So we're going to deal with it for tonight and see how light I can get this. So, but all my pastels, if you've not seen them, they have a tray that you can buy, which is amazing. It's got a lid and everything. And you just pop your pastels. They pop in and out of this little tray, so you can organize it however you want. And when you run out, you just pull one out and get a new one. So they're very, very handy. And, oops, put it around backwards. So that's basically all I'm doing to load my tools, is just pulling some up on my little brush there, and I'm going to rub that on there. Now you're not going to see a whole lot because this is white. It's actually coming out kind of a silvery gray on this. We'll see how this goes. It may take a couple of layers. So one of the things that I got since the last time I did a pastel or a video with Pan Pastels is I got this Spectra fixative. This stuff, and I know I did not link this in the description. I'll have to add that later. But this stuff is really cool. It dries pretty quick. It's doesn't have a strong smell. You can spray it inside. I don't spray anything around the bird, so I don't want to say, well, yeah, it's listed as being non-toxic. I still don't, I think this one's listed, yeah, non-toxic. But I still don't like to use that around my bird, anything that like is airborne around my birds. So while it's non-toxic, you still want to be careful with that, but it works really well. So they recommend when you use that stuff to kind of spray as you go along. So after you get a couple layers of your pastels, mist it, and then go on, and it helps to make it adhere to the paper better long term. When I did my owl with the Pan Pastels, I only sprayed it at the very end because I didn't have the stuff yet. So it's not going to, I guess, adhere as well as this would work as I spray as I go along. Let's see. No one can see what I'm doing. Hold on. Can you... It looks fine to me. Hold on. Is it not coming out on that camera? Give me a second. That is absolutely... Hold on. That camera could have just frozen. Give me just a second to see what is going on here. Yeah, nothing is happening on that one. Okay, let's see if we can fix this really quick. That's super annoying and weird, and I don't totally know how to fix it, so let's go ahead and see if I unplug this camera. But hopefully I'm unplugging the right one. See if that makes any difference, if I can get it to go again. I don't know why that's not reading. This laptop is apparently just causing all kinds of problems today. Oh, I think I unplugged the wrong one. Wait. Hold on. No, that was the right one. It is not even responding at all. I have an idea. Let's delete it, which is not great, but I'm not sure what else to do with that. See if I can add another, add the camera back in, and hopefully it will pick back up. No, the camera is on. It's not, I don't know what is going on with that. So I'm going to see if I can get it. I might have to just restart all of this again. See if that did it. Oh, my camera is not picking up right now, and I do not know why. I don't know if it's a problem with... What in the world? Oh my gosh. Okay. I think we're getting to that point where I just have to restart and start over. I'm not sure what else to do with that. I'm going to have to close OBS, so we will be right back. If this shuts down, I don't know what's going to happen. Just give me a minute. I'm going to try to be right back. We might be back. I don't friggin' know. Let's refresh this and see what happens. Oh, my computer is just not... Yeah, it doesn't want... Oh, wait, it's there. Okay. Hold on, I've got it going on the other computer now. Let me turn that off. This is definitely the bad part about live streaming, is you can't like, oh, I'll just fix this later, or like edit that out. It's just there. So let's see if... Nothing like a little stress. My gosh. Okay, I think we're good. Let's try this. I have no idea what happened. I restarted OBS, restarted my computer. It didn't want to even pick up no matter which USB that I plugged the thing into. That camera was just not going to work. I don't even know why. So let's try this again. Okay. Sorry about that. Thanks for hanging around while I screwed with all of my things. So back to what I was trying to do with my soft tool. So the thing that you guys, I don't think saw any of it. I'm going to back this up and show you guys this again. These are my Pan Pastels. It has a little tray that I've gotten. You don't have to get the tray, but I seriously recommend it. It's got a little lid. It's just convenient. These come in and out. Just pop right back into the tray. And then I'm using the soft tools. And I'll show you how I'm lifting this. There we go. There we go. With the soft tools, all I'm doing is taking this, lifting some of that, and then applying it to my paper. Now, this is not very messy. I did, just because, actually, I'll set this, since I'm using so much white first, I'll just set that on my little easel. But my easel is brand new and took a lot of saving, and I'm a little protective of keeping it super clean. So I actually have everything lined with shelving paper or contact paper, and I put paper or towels underneath this area for any fall off. But there isn't going to be that much fall off, I found, with this. Not like when I go over it with colored pencil. The colored pencil, I'm going to get more fallout than I will with the Pan Pastels. So that was a big surprise to me. I totally thought these would be really, really messy. They're really not. But I do still put it's just a hand towel, or you could put an old t-shirt, anything really. Just so that if you do have fall off, it doesn't end up all over your brand new easel. I suspect within a few months, I won't be so neurotic about trying to keep my easel super clean. But for now, let's see. Wendy wants to know what did I use to put the outline on? It's I think it was just an F pencil and just a regular graphite pencil, but I used a projector. So I'm going to use, if I'm working on on sanded paper, whether I want to freehand, whether I want to trace, it doesn't matter. Either way, I am going to draw out, if I want to freehand, I'm going to draw out my image on another piece of paper. Actually, I draw it out on my Wacom tablet, and then use the projector to project it onto the paper. Otherwise, it's going to be, I'm going to make a mess with erasing. You can even see the smudges here. It smudges, and you can end up with a huge mess all over the place. So I definitely prefer using a projector to get everything on there nice and clean. Spicy Cake said, is it possible to use Pan Pastel on watercolor paper? Possible. I just don't think you'd like the results very much. It doesn't stick as well. The Pan Pastels it really sticks to, which is part of why I'm having even less fallout than you would expect. But yeah, it's not my choice, that's for sure. Let's see if this is going to be faster. I need to make sure I don't get green on it. Ooh, yes, let's use this guy. It's dirty on one side and clean on the other. I have a bunch of these I need to pull out from wherever the heck I stored them, but that's gonna apply way faster than the initial tool, so I can probably get more surface area by covering that. Now, Pan Pastels I'm still fairly new to, so I'm still figuring out exactly like my favorite ways to apply it and messing around with the different tools. Yeah, wow, that actually fills in really nice. And I've tried this tool before and never really liked the results I got. But for trying to get this huge area like this is good. I won't use this when I get into the smaller, more refined areas, but for just kind of a base, it's going on nice. Let's see, what... Lady Marigold said you get even less fallout with pastel matte paper. Now, pastel matte, that I actually have some here and I haven't used it yet. I probably should have done this one on that to try it out. But I kind of, whenever I'm working on a new paper or with a new medium, I like to pick one thing that worked good for me, make sure I kind of master that before I start trying too many different like surfaces, different paper types, different tools. Because if something's not working, I'm not going to know, okay, did that not work because of the paper or did it not work because of my technique or, that sort of thing. So I haven't tried my pastel matte yet. I'm going to. Just haven't gotten there yet. Let's see. Rosalind said, do you have trouble with whites vanishing after spraying? We're going to find that out tonight here after I get my base layer done. I'll try spraying it and let's see how much it goes away. I have not tried that with pastels or with pastel matte. I haven't had a problem. When I sprayed it on my owl, because I did have whites on that, I didn't notice, it wasn't noticeable. If anything was affected, it was so minor I couldn't tell. But we will try with this because this is a lot of white this time. We'll see if it lightens up much. That'll be kind of an interesting test. I mean, I expect to put a few layers of white on here anyway, so if it does make it disappear, I'm not too worried about it. like I said, I'm pretty new to Pan Pastels. So yeah, when I used pastels in the past, the fixatives that I was using, I was having a problem with them disappearing. Now, that may just be a difference of the fixative. It may be the Pan Pastels versus the regular soft pastels I had been using, or the pastel pencils. It may, I mean, so many things can factor in, but we'll give this a test with these materials and see what happens. And while I get to the details here, I'll switch over to the smaller tool. It's way easier to control. Sort of like painting with a palette knife. It reminds me of that when working with oils and working with where you're doing the whole thing with a palette knife. I feel like the way that you hold the tool, it's very similar, or at least the way I hold it. But yeah, I'm going to need a lot of layers because I don't know if you can really see this on the video, but there's a lot of the darker, that cream color of the paper showing through. Let's see. Cavium said, what is your strategy to match colors from reference images? One, just to eyeball it, because it's not that big of a deal to me if it's exact. If I want it to be more exact, and this, I actually do this a lot, or just to kind of simplify things for myself, I'll use Photoshop and an eyedropper tool and just color match that way, because you can see on the color wheel where it falls, because there are times when you look at something and you're like, okay, that's like a warm blue, and you pull it into Photoshop and you're like, oh, that's actually more of a cool gray. I was so far off just because of the colors it was next to. It can sometimes give the illusion that the color you're looking at isn't quite what you thought it was. So that's where using an eyedropper tool with Photoshop really simplifies things, and I have videos showing you how I do that. There's different apps you can use on your phone too, or tablets, whatever you're using. So with this guy, I'm not going to do much detail on the background. I really want most of that just to stay white. I may put a few lines in there, but not much. Man, okay, I'm definitely going to be buying more of this tool because like I said before, when I used it before, I didn't really like it for just this big solid smudging everything in. This is nice for blocking that in. Let's see. Camellia said, repeating because of technical issues, do you have problems with smaller soft tools being very fragile? No, but I don't push very hard. I can see 2 times where it would be a real problem. Well, one, if I pull them onto the tool, like when I'm sliding the cover over, sometimes I will rip those if I pull too hard. So I have to go really slow with that. But I'm just going to flip this over to get the bottom. But make sure that's in frame. And close enough. The pastel paper, or the Fisher 400 that I'm using, it's not a real heavy grit. It's very, very fine. So between that and not pushing hard, I've really not had any problems using them. So, and it's funny because Aliona Nicholson, because I started using the soft tools with her products, and she was like, they rip really easy. She wasn't a huge fan of those. So she has the ones that worked well for her. I think it's just a difference in how we were using them, because I'm using the same paper that she was, and I have no problem. I mean, they're going to burn through them eventually, but they're so inexpensive. You just replace the cover. So, I definitely didn't experience the trouble she had with them. So I think it's just a difference in how we're using them. But I do know that the grit that you use for your sanded paper, that can make a difference. If you're using a heavier grit, that would definitely eat through them faster. Hello, Shiny said, I'm keen to watch this, Lisa. I've not tried the technique yet. I twill suit heaps me heaps. Huh? I don't know what that was. And that just scrolled too far and lost it. And now the video is loading. Hooray. Oh, come on. Are you really going to freeze up on me? After all this, we've been through so much. We'll reload. I think we're okay. I don't know. We'll go ahead and answer another question. Lauren said, what store should I find the best quality pastels at? Locally, I know, well, see if you're in North Texas, Azel Art Supply carries them, but I don't know who else has them. Besides that, I just go to Dick Blick or Jerry's Artorama. Those are usually, Dick Blick is generally my preference. I've loved their customer service, but sometimes it's just based on what price each of them has for something that I want, but that's where I do most of my shopping from. But I'm not sure, like usually if you've got a smaller, not a big, huge chain art supply store, you're more likely to be able to find tools that you're not able to find at like the big Michaels and Hobby Lobby. Unfortunately, all of those big art suppliers seem to have taken over and there aren't as many little ones left. So buying online, again, from dickblick.com or from Jerry's Artorama seems to be a good way to go. And you generally get pretty good prices in doing that too from both those websites. And if you sign up for their email newsletters, they'll send coupons and different sales and stuff. So I usually stock up when things are on sale. Okay, we're going to flip this over. And I'm going to try to just get rid of any brush strokes that are, because I was going in all different directions. So I want to smooth everything out so it's side to side. If I have a streak, I want it going horizontal. I'm going to throw that so many times. Okay. I'm going to spray this. I don't even remember what the directions are. It's been a while. Let's see. Spray very light layer of your work, allowing 2 to 3 minutes to dry. Yep, that should work. Am I supposed to shake this? Wait, hold on. I think you were supposed to shake it. Direction spray. It doesn't say recycle or reuse this bottle. Yay, that's cool. I don't know. We'll just shake it a little then. So I'm going to lightly mist this, but I'm going to test it because I haven't sprayed in a while. Let's test it somewhere else to make sure. Okay. You don't want to, when you're going to spray something, don't test on your artwork. Test somewhere else to make sure you're not having like a stream come out all over the place. Not that that would hurt anything here, but you do want to test always somewhere else. Now I've got a few of these little dots right now from how this sprayed because I sprayed a bit too heavy. Doesn't really matter. They'll go away when I put additional layers. So we're going to let that set for a minute. I'll go ahead and answer some questions and wipe the Spectrafix off my cell phone that was sitting right next to it. Whoops. Okay, let's see. Lady Marigold said, you use the Flare Sol Fine Mist Sprayer for the Spectrafix. It gives you a much nicer, more even spray than the original pump spray. I don't have that yet. I'm going to have to look into that. If you can, when this live stream is over, can you leave that comment in the comments below so I can actually find it? Because it's hard to find when it's been in the chat. But I definitely will be looking into that because as you can see, it's not quite as fine as I would like. But if you've got something you recommend more, I would love to check that out. Tamara said, hi Lisa, love the snowy danger floof you're drawing this evening. Thanks, Tamara. Yes, a snowy danger floof is an accurate description for him. Rosalind said, if I use watercolor paper, I lightly sand the paper. Yeah, I mean, it would give it more tooth so it would stick to it. So that I can see where that would be. I wouldn't want to do it because I'm lazy and that takes extra effort. I just want my paper to do, like, start out where I want it to be. But I could see where that would help. I'm not, you know, you'd have to be careful for sure, given the, you know, you could accidentally go too rough on one area. So, you know, there's definitely some cons to that if you're not super careful. Let's see. Spicy Cake wants to know if I prefer teal or turquoise. Teal. But I guess it depends on whoever's listing it. Sometimes I'll see something listed as turquoise and it's a prettier color of teal than the teal. I mean, they're essentially kind of the same. They're a bluish green. So basically anything within the blue-green range, I like. But usually teal, I think of as being a bit deeper in most cases. Peacock blue would technically be my favorite. It's like a deep, dark teal. I love that. Kelly Jackson said, hi Lisa, first time poster, long time lurker. Anyways, when do you prefer using wax-based colored pencils instead of oil-based and vice versa? Thanks. Sometimes it's based on color. My wax-based may just have a color I don't have in my oil-based or the other way around. The other thing would be depending on what I'm doing. So let's say I'm painting a portrait. I like my wax-based. They blend out just the way they blend. I hands down will always reach for my wax base for skin tones. But then when I get into detail, the hair, the detail around the eyes, I will almost always reach for my oil base because they sharpen to a finer point. They hold that point better and longer than the softer wax base. So it depends on, those are usually the factors. More detail, I mean, you can do everything with wax or everything with oil, but I have them both, so I kind of happens to be the easiest one to choose at that point. So soft blending, like really smooth blending, I generally like my wax base. Finer detail, then I'm going to go for my oil, or just because one has the color I'm looking for. Make sure you have you're getting the at Lachri Fine Art. If it doesn't highlight in orange, I won't see the question. So it's not that I'm ignoring you, it's just that I won't see it. Oh, good. We're buffering again. This is going to be a good night full of, this will be a quality live stream. Let's see. Scrolling back to the questions because they flew by. Dale said, maybe a silly questions, but our pastels are archival. Yes, they are. They are listed on the back of well, with Pan Pastels they are, with the star rating as to how light fast they are. So that's really good. And I don't remember what they're equivalent to. When I did the initial review, if you go back to my owl, I have listed in the video description what those light fast ratings were, what the star rating, like each star system was equivalent to. So I think the 4-star was super light fast. And then, like, yeah, so the higher the star, the more light fast it would be. And the way that I'm telling that by looking at them right now is I know white, gray, black, super light fast, and they're 4-star. Whereas one of the colors that is going to have a tendency to be less light fast, not just with pastels, just color in general, would be pinks, some reds, certain blues, certain purples, and this one's a 3-star, so it's a little bit lower. So yeah, the higher the star on this, the more light fast. But they are, they use, I don't remember if they're ASTM or blue wool now, off the top of my head. I have that information if you look at my owl. I really should have linked that here. I didn't even think about it. But yes, they are archival. Some of them are less light fast though, so you need to know which ones when you choose which color you want to buy. Most of them are though. Dale said, oh wait, no, that good. Got that one. Ursi said, love how you're spreading the Pan Pastel with the tool. Thanks. Yeah, that was way faster than it was going to be with the other soft tool. All of these are soft tools. Like even this little spongy, or this guy, it's still a soft tool too. It's just a different type. And they have round ones somewhere. I'm not going looking for it. I've got them somewhere. That may have been a better fit too than even the tool I used. Brent said, are you going to use a fixative? And if so, which brand? I ruined a really good pastel drawing using the wrong one. I used on the last one the Spectrafix fixative, and I really was happy with the results that I got. And that's what I'm using on this one. This one was really, really good. Spectrafix fixative, all natural, odor-free, milk casein formula. That's the one. I can't say, again, I'm not an expert on Pan Pastels. So keep that in mind when you take my advice. I'm showing you how they work. I'm showing you, this is kind of a learning process for me too. But that one, a lot of you guys recommended, and I tried it and I absolutely loved it. I have on other pastels in the past, before I got weird about them touching my hands, I had tried other sprays, and I was never happy with the results when I sprayed it. I mean, you have to do it, but if you want the work to not, it'll essentially fall eventually off the canvas if you're not sealing it with something or putting a spray on it. But this one I've been really happy with. I'm not finding a big change in color, or like there's not much color shift. I didn't notice much difference at all. If there was, it was so minor I couldn't tell the difference when I sprayed my owl. So that's good. Debbie said, I miss what paper you're using. What is good for Pan Pastels? I've so far have been loving using the sanded paper. This is Fisher 400. This one is pre-mounted from proartpanels.com. No affiliation there. That's just the one that I'm using right now. And I like the mounted paper. You don't have to get mounted, but I like it because I don't have to tape it to anything. It's always going to stay just in good condition. So let's see. And again, I apologize. I can see, at least on my screen, this video is constantly buffering and having all kinds of trouble. So I apologize for that, but there we go. That is apparently what's going to happen tonight. I don't know why. Camellia said a lot of people in Pan Pastel Facebook group had problems with smaller tools tearing even with light use. Pan company people were incredibly responsive. Maybe they fixed it. I don't know. I've never had, I mean, if I go through, I can probably find some that whoops, I'm going to throw stuff on the floor instead. But I've probably got some that are starting to tear. Like this one. If you look at the tip, like that's starting to come through the tip there. But it was used a lot before I got to that point. So I don't know, maybe my standard on how long I think they should last is just lower than everyone else's. I'm like, oh, it worked for 5 minutes. I'm good. I mean, they last a lot longer than that. But that's a possibility, to be realistic. But I've never had a problem with it. Or I've not had any complaints anyway. Let's see. Rosalind said, I've tried pans as watercolor. I've tried the pans. Huh. Sarah Makes Art said, you said a lot of people paint skin too light. I do the opposite sometimes. In my current portrait, I painted the subject's skin so dark that she looks like she was burnt and bruised. It happens. I mean, when I tell you guys, like, this is what commonly happens. There's always going to be somebody who does the opposite of what I said was common. That's why I can't say it's a rule that everybody does the same thing. It's just that it's really common. Let's see. Oops. Ursies said, do you dark sea green with a hue strong color dark? I'm not sure what you're asking there. I like dark sea green though. I mean, it's essentially teal. I call all that teal. If it's a bluish green, I say it's teal. Gail Perkins said, I got an order from Jerry's today. My first 20 set of luminance, nice, and 20 Pan Pastel tray. I love that it has a cover too. Oh, you're gonna have fun. You got some fun stuff. Andrew Peacock said, opinion on Michael's Artist Loft canvas. I absolutely hate them. I hate every canvas made. I mean, if you're getting started, fine, but they're overpriced, I think, for the quality that you're getting. And that's a huge problem. And then they have a tendency to warp. I don't like the texture can be inconsistent. I had more problems. I didn't spend much time messing with the Artist Loft product or line. I did for a while years ago, but the Hobby Lobby, I've had the same. I hate their canvases. Hobby Lobby was the last one I used. Hobby Lobbies and Aaron Brothers, which is essentially Artist Loft. Aaron Brothers and Michaels were all the same company. But warping stretcher bars, canvases that were ripping easier like they shouldn't have. I've never put a hole through a Frederick's canvas. Oh, I've done it quite a few times to Artist Loft, or what was it? Was it called Artist Loft back there then when it was sold by Aaron Brothers? I forget. I have one back there still that I use to hold up other things. I won't use it to paint on. I mean, if that's what you've got, use it. I think that they're overpriced for their quality, and I don't want to sell something that I painted on those because the stretcher bars, I mean, any stretcher bars can start to warp technically, but they were so common. Like, you would grab a canvas at the store, put it on the floor, and it would wobble. Like, it was so not straight. Like, it was just, they were not made super well, so I'm not a fan. Ursi said, these Pan Pastels look excellent for your touch, like your polar bear. Thanks. Yeah, I think they're going to go well with him. He has the teals in here. Like, the design is gorgeous. I got it from Unsplash, I believe. Rosalind says she goes through a lot of tool covers. You know, maybe part of it, too, with me not thinking that I go through that many is I don't use them that often. I don't do a whole lot of work on sanded paper. I'm usually working on other mediums, so maybe that's why, maybe my opinion of how fast I go through them is just completely skewed because I don't. And reconnected, I think. Oh my gosh, this night is going to cause me to say swear words. Come on, are you going? I don't even know if you're playing. Are you playing? I may just be sitting here talking to myself again. I think I am. My whole computer is just acting horribly. I checked for updates. I don't know if are you going? Am I going? Am I recording? Or, I don't know what's happening. It says I'm streaming. It says the stream is good. Yeah, my computer, I check for updates always earlier in the day because it's Windows 10 and freaking hate Windows 10. So I check for the updates. No updates. Everything's good. I get set up tonight. 5 updates. Where did you come from? I checked for that already. So I don't know if like it wanting to do updates and I'm telling it no is causing. I don't know. I have no idea what is happening tonight, but it's frustrating. Let's scroll back down because I missed. Okay, MKF30 says, what do you think of Bob Ross and have you ever sculpted anything? Bob Ross, I love what he did for the art community. I know so many phenomenal artists. Jason Morgan's one who got started because they started with Bob Ross and he made it easy enough and not scary to get involved and get started. Bob Ross did so much for the art world and a lot of people don't like to admit that because Bob Ross style paintings are not going to win you any awards. They're pretty, they're fun. You are, you're fairly limited. You're not doing glazing. You're not building a lot of depth. It's good for beginners. That's what it's intended for, just to get you started. But it got so many people started. Like he probably made a bigger difference on the art world in getting other artists started who never would have even tried, who ended up being amazing than almost anyone else. I mean, he really, really did a lot for, even if they went to somebody else to learn further, more advanced techniques, he got them started, and that is a big deal. So I love Bob Ross. Have I ever sculpted anything? Yeah, nothing amazing. It was more like I just dabbled and kind of played with some Sculpey clay, and then I did one with Smart Art Box. That actually was cool. I apparently didn't know you were supposed to use like foil and make a mold inside and all this stuff. So that was pretty cool. But it's not something I'm good at by any, like, it's not that I couldn't become good or that anyone couldn't become good at sculpting. It's that I've never invested enough time into it. And for me, because it requires you to look down as you're sculpting, because of my arthritis in my back and neck, I can't do that. So it's not something that I'm ever going to get good at, unfortunately. Because what little I did, I thought was fun. Heather said, I saw a movie with Will Smith the other day, and your comment on the painting of White Will made me laugh enough to get the hubby to ask what I was laughing about. That's funny. Let's see. Brent said, artists left have improved their canvases a lot. I use them often. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, I still won't use them because like I said, I swore off. I'm like, I'm not even messing with canvases. You showed me you are bad. I'm not giving you more chances. Like and people are like, we should give him a second chance. I gave him many chances and it was bad and I moved along and I've never had a problem with Frederick. So I'm just staying there. Plus being sponsored by them now. That is all I use. But even before that, it was like, I've just too many problems. Debbie said, what colors would be good to purchase to start out? What paper support do you recommend for Pan Pastels? Your artwork is awesome and I love to watch your videos. Thanks. This was the 20 set. It's the one that I have linked in the video description. I think from that set, you can pretty much mix anything. Like, I was really, really happy and really surprised because I had read where some people were like, oh, you can't mix colors well with Pan Pastels. They mix just the same as they do for paint, for me anyway. Like, I love the results that I've been getting with them. So, roll my sleeve up so it doesn't rub on the pastel. So, the set of 20, I would say, is a really good start. And it's not even just that it's a start. I think technically you could probably stick with that set of 20 and not need anything else. Now, eventually I may not want some more grays or some more colors just so I can be lazy and don't have to mix things. But you can mix from that set of 20. I think it's such a great start. Let's see. And what was the other question? What paper support I love so far. Now, this is all I've used it on, so keep that in mind. I haven't tested out a bunch of stuff, but I'm absolutely loving them on the Fisher 400 sanded paper. And that is the paper I get from proartpanels.com. Okay, this is getting as white as I want it to be. I mean, it's not going to be as bright white as like Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press Names Way Too Long watercolor paper, but it is as white as I need it to be for this. I think this will work out nicely. So I think one more layer of this white and I'll be ready to start on the water around the polar bear. It makes kind of an annoying sound while I'm adding that. Let's see. Gail said, we hear you when it's not buffering. Okay, good to know. So when it buffers, I need to stop talking if I notice that it's buffering. Rosalind said, I use a lot of makeup sponges. Yeah, if that works, they're very similar. And actually, I think for the, we have a whole bunch of them here. For the powder blender, the stuff that Aliona uses, they look like regular, like eyeshadow, little eyeshadow brushes. Now, I've had some eyeshadow brushes that were kind of cheaper feeling, and they weren't as nice as these. But I could see, yeah, I can see where that would work if they're the right kind. Patricia said, is the lamp that you use on your easel, and it scrolled too far while I was reading the question. Man, that's so annoying. Easel decent enough to take pictures of your artwork? No, because it's going to have a hotspot on the top and not the bottom. Like, it's fine for social media, but to take prints, I always take prints in daylight. Well, not like direct daylight, but indirect sunlight. I have to get the sunlight just right and everything's specific. I usually take them indoors where I live here. Where I lived before, that it was more of a challenge because the house I was in was really dark. But no, I wouldn't take photos for prints of anything really with this because I've got light coming only from above. If you're going to use a lighting setup to take photos of your artwork for prints, you really want two at like a 45-degree angle coming out here from your artwork's here, and you want the lights evenly spread. Here, I'm only from one direction, so it's really not going to be a fit. And even with these, I think if I had some on the opposite side, I think these kind of overexpose things a bit. At least when I've tried, like even with a video, I have to edit a bit in the editing to adjust the color because it has a tendency to overexpose things. It makes it so in person I see things beautifully. I love it for that. I can really see what I'm doing, but they definitely can cause a little bit of trouble when trying to photograph. And you'll see that if you go through Instagram and look at any of those photos, you can tell the ones where the light was on above it because it's so bright at the top of whatever project. And even when I put them far away and I angle them different, I've just never been able to get it to where it would be good enough to do anything with prints. But for social media, meh, it's fine. Clarence said, your feed is doing pretty good. Imitation of HAL 9000 keeps sputtering out every so often. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on tonight. I have no idea. I don't know if there's something wrong with my internet. I have no clue. Okay, let's see. Someone is texting me, probably telling me, hey, your video is going... No, she's just linking me things. But yeah, it's... I apologize, guys. No, like everything, my whole setup is actually less demanding than normal because I don't have a separate camera going on my palette. I don't know what the problem is. Rosalind said I got start late in life and Bob Ross got me started. See? Another example. He did so much. It's funny too. I said something in one of my videos commenting how, you know, Bob Ross isn't going to win you any awards. I'm not saying he's not fun to paint. I'm not saying he doesn't do good things for artists, but people went off of, don't you say anything bad about him. I'm like, I didn't say anything bad about him. I stated a fact. His work is pretty. It's not, it's very basic. It's not very, you know, advanced for what a lot of people are looking for later on. But to start with, it's perfect. Crystal said, what color pencils should I use with Pan Pastels? I really liked my Faber-Castell Polychromos the best, but that's because I love those those pencils on sanded paper. I only use my wax-based pencils for last details because they don't blend out, whereas the Polychromos you can blend. Like even if you're not, like I'm not going to use powder blender on this since I'm using the Pan Pastels, but you can even with the I can't talk Polychromos, you can just lightly smudge those or kind of blend them, so they're pretty cool for sanded paper. So yeah, the Faber-Castell Polychromos are my favorite for sanded paper for the majority of it. Spicy Cake said, I can imagine you with teal hair at the ends. You would look like a mermaid. You know, I actually wanted to do like a purple just as when it got longer. I was considering doing it before I cut the bottom off my other bit, but right now I think I'll just kind of enjoy having my natural color back. Well, the back is my natural, not the bleach. So yeah, I kind of want to play with fun colors. They have this conditioner one that keeps popping up on Facebook that seems to have good reviews that had a really pretty like violet. I love teal, but I don't like how it looks in people's hair when it starts to fade in most colors. It ends up having a weird kind of green look, whereas the teal would, or if I used purple, it would end up being more of a pink as it faded, which is kind of still pretty. So I think I would prefer that as much as I like teal. Let's see. But I would definitely need to let it get longer so it was easier for me to do myself. Rosalind said, is it better to save for expensive set of art supplies or try to buy medium cost to start? Well, it depends because some art supplies, the medium cost or even the low cost work better for me. Like, for example, we'll go with acrylic paints. I love Liquitex Basics. Now, Liquitex is a good brand all around. I use the Basics, which they are listed as a student grade, which basically means the colors aren't as pigmented is the biggest difference. They're still light fast. It takes more layers in order to get the color more to the opacity that you want, whatever you want. I want more layers. I want to glaze. I want to do that. They're perfect for my techniques, and they are one of the most inexpensive ways you can go. So that's, you know, for in that case, I wouldn't recommend Reeves or Revis or any of those other ones that are even cheaper than that. So the Liquitex are kind of, you know, there are cheaper than that, but I wouldn't recommend those. They have a tendency, the really cheap ones you'll put down your first layer, you'll let it dry, you'll put another layer on top to glaze, and the first layer kind of lifts if you do much scrubbing or different techniques. So that for me is a big issue. So whereas the Liquitex never been a problem. So for acrylics, go with that. For oil paints, I would say Winsor & Newton is a really good way to start. They're still what I use, and you can do the Winsor & Newton Winton color, which are not terribly expensive. The artist color I like better. It's got a better consistency, and that's what I've switched over to, but I still use some of my Winton color because those tubes last forever. So those would be You know, they are technically mid-range. They're not the most expensive, but you don't want to go with the cheapest either. When it comes to colored pencil, that's a little different. With colored pencil, it's such a it is a difference. I've seen some of like the was it Refine Renoir? I don't know. One of those was actually decent. I think a student could learn to work with those. You can't sell your work. It's not archival. They're not light fast at all. But that could be learned with those, and those are fairly inexpensive. But I would, as soon as you get to where you want to start selling your work, switch over. You're going to want to invest in luminance or polychromos or, you know, the Derwent Lightfast. You want something that's going to be more archival for sure. So it really depends on what it is. Some I think do great with the less expensive, and some, like the colored pencils, I do like the more expensive ones better. But like I said, I tried those Marco. There's the Renoir and the Refine. The one that cost more, I liked a lot. I think that was their oil based. And you've got to watch with those because you can get them on Amazon, and they are listed as excellent light resistance or something like that. But they never tested for light fast. They're not light fast. So don't believe that by any means. But those were actually decent. They're not nearly as good as polychromos or luminance, but it was still enough that I think a student, especially a younger student, would have no problem learning and getting used to. Augie says, Jason Morgan did a video on makeup sponges for Pan Pastels, and it didn't really work out. Well, it depends on which ones you use. They're not all created the same. Like I said, these ones that I pulled up, those are eyeshadow ones, which I wouldn't use to put eyeshadow on anyway. But I mean, some makeup brushes, it completely depends, or makeup sponges completely depends on the brand that you get. So yeah, whatever he got ones that didn't work, you know, not to buy those. But there are some, I don't think they'll be as good as these. These are much more dense than any I felt, but I have had some of like the triangles that for a base layer would have been okay. And I've had some of those same triangles by different makers that absolutely would not have worked. They're the wrong texture altogether. So in his case, and I'm not like bashing Jason Morgan. I love him. We're friends, but there's no way he would have tried them all. So there's that. But then again, is it cost efficient for you to go out and buy all of the makeup sponges to find out which one works, or is it more cost efficient just to get the soft tools that you know work? So there's that too. Nettie said, I was given Prismacolor firm pastel sticks and Rembrandt soft pastel sticks. I have never used this medium before. Are these good products? I don't know enough about pastels to say one way or another. I'm not going to give you any advice because I am not a pastel person. I'm loving the Pan Pastels. These are amazing, but I don't like pastels normally because, like, okay, you can see these are on my hand. They don't feel dry. Normal pastels make my skin feel dry and chalky, and it makes me cringe, and I'm constantly washing my hands. Like, I've got a Smart Art Box video I need to do that they just sent the supplies for. It's using pastels. I will probably wash my hands multiple times while trying to record that video because I can't stand the feel on my hands. These don't feel that way. So anyway, point is, it's not that means they're bad. It means I'm a crazy person and I can't stand that feel. So, I don't know enough about those pastels. I would check Jason Morgan. He does a lot with pastels, and I think he's going to know a lot more than me as far as what brands he really liked or disliked. Then again, they were given to you, so that right there makes them kind of good. When you get to play with them without having to purchase them yourself, it's worth using. Like, if you ever get supplies and someone's like, this is terrible, use it for a sketchbook. If you realize, like, let's say you got a type of watercolor and you realized later on, this can't do the technique, like the way that it layers or blends, whatever. It doesn't really do what I'm hoping to make them do. Use it for a sketchbook. It's still exciting to get art supplies. I don't care if they're the worst art supplies in the world. Use them in a sketchbook. Actually, some of my sketchbooks have been the worst supplies in the world. I'll still draw on them. I'm still going to use them for something. I'm not going to sell anything with them, but... which pastel is better? Again, can't tell you. Sarah Makes Art said, I can remember watching Bob Ross's show as a kid and trying to recreate what he was painting with my crayons because I wasn't allowed to paint on my own at the time. That'd still be fun. That seems like a fun video challenge, like just general YouTube challenge. Also, I want to throw out, I keep coughing. It has nothing to do with the pastels. When I used these before, they never caused any kind of a reaction like that, at least for me. I'm coughing because I'm still getting over being sick. Well, I'm over being sick. I just have this stupid cough. But it's not, I don't want you guys to think that it's anything that I'm using here causing it, because it's not. The cough's mostly gone, at least. Let's see. Heather said, does the sanded paper have a really rough texture like regular sandpaper does? Well, it's a fine sandpaper. Very, very fine. So this to me feels kind of like a 1200 grit or a 1000 grit sandpaper. I don't know. I've not actually tested them side by side, but I'd say it was right around there. Maybe a little bit more rough. Rosalind said, you're right. He did basic, no details. Brian said, have you ever made fan art? I have. I've done several from Game of Thrones. I pulled most of them off my channel though, because Game of Thrones previously, one of the reasons I like doing Game of Thrones is they encouraged artists to make fan art with it. Like they had a thing on their Tumblr that they used to like share your work if you did fan art. So I felt pretty comfortable making fan art. I don't sell the work or anything, but I felt comfortable doing it until they ended up going after an artist who used the term winter is coming on something that had nothing to do with Game of Thrones. It was a girl who had never even seen Game of Thrones, knew nothing about it, like a 12 or I think she was 13. And they went after the girl with that and threatened legal action if she didn't. No, she was selling prints, but it was like a winter scene that was winter is coming. She did one for spring, like spring is coming, all of the different seasons. So legally, I don't think they could have gone after her anyway. I think that they were wrong because it's not being used. Like if someone was using that in a movie, then it's the same. You could trademark the same. It's not a copyright issue. It's a trademark thing. So it was a whole weird thing that they went after, and I didn't really know what they were doing. So I actually pulled everything except my Jon Snow. All my other Game of Thrones fan art I pulled down. So just in case. So I just have the one, so I wouldn't end up with too many copyright strikes if they decided that they had an issue with it. But I haven't heard them having any problem. Like they're still fine with people doing fan art from what I've heard. I don't know what happened in that situation, but I was like, okay, I'm paranoid. I'm not messing with that anymore. But yeah, I mean, I've done fan art. I've done the World of Warcraft. I did Booty Bay, which is hanging on my own wall. I did it for myself. And I've done a few, but it's not something I like to do often. I mean, one, you're not going to sell the fan art. So if I do it, it's because it's something I want for my own apartment. Like I still want to paint a Murloc from World of Warcraft. I'll probably get to that eventually. But it's not something I do often because it's not going, you can't sell it. You can't, it's all, copyright issues. Let's see. And I think I am. I was not going to put any smudges or anything in the water. I was going to leave it solid white, but I think I may. And for the sole reason of if I get a smudge as I'm going on, that is going to be really hard to hide later on. Versus if I go ahead and let there be some ripples in the water, I think that I'm going to better be able to, oops, the camera's on the wrong location. There we go. I'm going to better be able to hide any mistakes. So like or smudging, I guess. Let's see. Rosalind said oh wait, I got that one. Wendy said, are you able to display your reference photo? No, but you can look at Polar Bear on Unsplash, whatever it is. It's there. I don't have it on this computer though. Thanks, Marcel. Teacher says, do you ever paint on wood panels versus wood versus canvas? I have some wood canvases or wood panels, and I like them mostly for what color do I want to use? Decisions. Let's go with blue and gray. Do some mixing over here. I like them for the pouring medium when I work with acrylics because they don't sag, because that stuff's really heavy and it can cause a canvas to kind of sag. And so I really like them for the pouring medium. Like I've really had good results with those. And that's my favorite use of them. I haven't used them for a whole lot, so I do have some here that I need to do some videos with, but I've not done much with them besides for pouring medium. That's what I bought them for. Michelle says, I just got the metallic and glitter pan pastels. They're so much fun. Those look cool. I haven't tried those. What are the Lifehouse ratings on those? I didn't even look at that, but I'm going to have to look at those or look into those. Marissa said, "Is that a white pastel you're using?" No, it's a soft tool with white Pan Pastel on it. So I'm gonna get a bit of white, and so what I'm doing when I'm mixing the colors, this makes some people cringe. I'm neurotic about certain things, just not this. So I'm taking a little bit of blue and I'm blending it in here and making the light version of that blue right on my pan. You can mix that on a piece of paper or whatever, but it gets, or even on one of the lids of these if you wanted to. But this works okay for me. So I'm just going to get some streaks in here for the water. And then I'll soften some of these out with that bigger one again. We'll just throw a few of these and then some gray. And I have a feeling I'm actually going to trim this paper, the top and the bottom, off a little bit so it's long and thin. I probably should have done that before I started. And by probably, I mean I definitely should have done that before I started, but I've got a, it's Logan, I think makes it, a, what's it called? A mat cutter that I will use to cut this. See how nicely this blends? This is the thing that I like so much. When you want that out of focus, just really soft background, these and airbrush are probably the best two soft looks that I think you can get. Let's see, is that, okay, got that one. Shannon Wolf said, FYI, it's the Marco Renoir that's the better ones. Thank you. I bought a set to use in my sketchbook. Anything that I don't care about light fast, they work well on that. Yeah, perfect for a sketchbook, but I think that students, thank you for reminding me. I get those mixed up all the time. But it's like the zebra and giraffe incident or situation all over again. Those I think are good for students. So that's a less expensive way to go to get started and definitely suitable for learning. Wouldn't sell them, they're not light fast, but like, yeah, for a sketchbook too, that's perfect. Adding a little gray into this, maybe a little too much gray, we'll blend that out. Now I've got to make sure this goes right up against the polar bear. I would rather overlap this into him than not, go like this and have a gap right in there. That looks really weird. So I want to push any lines need to go right up to him. We'll take that white, just soften some of this out. So I still want it to be mostly white. This way, if later on I smudge something, I'm not trying to fight to keep the paper white. Basically, I'm being lazy. I'm good at that. Let's see. Spicy Cake said, any ghost stories to tell? I have some from when I was younger. But I don't like telling the ghost stories because people are like, you're a crazy person. You believe that happened. Like windows slamming open when I was there that you couldn't reach from the outside. Like there was some scary stuff in one of the houses I lived in. So yes, I have some, but I'm not going to bore you guys with them because they're too long and it makes me sound like I'm a crazy person. But I have experienced some stuff, yes. Are Pan Pastels easy to use? So easy. Like right off the bat from the first time I used them, if you look back at some of the videos, the first time, what did I do? Clouds, I think. Pretty easy. And then I jumped straight into something more advanced with the owl and the type of background I was doing. Those were easier than the clouds. Super easy. Like I've really been impressed with how quickly you can pick up getting used to using them. Now, to be fair, I'm used to using a palette knife and that's what I feel like I'm painting with. So that may make it a little easier in my case than it otherwise would have been. But I mean, no, I think that they're really an easy thing. I don't think you have a real long learning curve to get the hang of. Like right away, it looks good. Now, the thing with Pan Pastels, though, I wouldn't use these for details. Like you can get kind of details with them, but it gets a lot harder. I'm going to switch over to colored pencils for those. So whenever I use Pan Pastels, it's a mixed media technically that I'm going to be doing. Throw some gray right, and you can mix right on your palette too. Oops. Too harsh of a line right there because I skipped a bit. And when I come in and start putting the teals in, I'm going to pull some of that into my background too once I get the color I want. Let's see. Sarah Makes Art said something. Not just scroll too far. Oh my gosh, all the time. Scrolling and scroll. Okay, Sarah said something you said in the last Sharpened Artist remind me of how my stepfather insisted on teaching me art. He was not an artist and expected me to paint what was in his mind. That's hilarious. Brian said, I have Cotman watercolors. The only color I don't like too much is the ultramarine because it reactivates very easily. Interesting. I don't know a whole lot about watercolor pans. I just know the watercolor pencils I've been using. Also, you guys will be happy to know I've got some stuff coming up with, I'm going to be doing for Faber-Castell, and so they are going to be providing me with some their watercolor pencils. So we'll be having those to play with soon. So I'm excited about that. I've been wanting to use those for a while. Okay, so that just gives me that nice kind of soft look there. Now I'm going to start mixing this kind of teal blue. And so what I will do, I've got a phthalo green and phthalo blue. Those are the two colors that I use when I mix teal or turquoise colors in acrylics or oils. So let's go ahead. Okay, seriously, this is the most amazing easel. It has a shelf underneath it, and it didn't even cross my mind how much I would be using the shelf. I'm making a mess all over the rest of it, but the shelf is like holding my pastels in front. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'll be doing a video on that soon. And then I think I'm going to add a little bit of black to tone down some of the darker areas. And to mix the colors, I need something to mix this on that's not super absorbent. My postcards. Hold on one second. Okay. I think that using the back end of a postcard will, it's a little bit glossy. I think this is going to be a better way for me to try to mix colors than to mix it in the pan because I'm mixing so many here. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. Has this been used? No, it looks like it's pretty clean. So let's see if this works. Again, this is just me experimenting. So let's see what happens if I put a little of these colors. So obviously it would be easier if I had the color I wanted, but I don't. So I'm just kind of mixing here. Throw a little bit of black in there. It's not really working this way. It may be better if I mix straight on the paper. Oh no, here we go. Ah, there's the color I want. And then I should be, yep, it worked. Huh. So the back end of it, it's a glossy postcard. But I was able to mix the phthalo blue, phthalo green that came in the set. Now, this is a color I think I will look into purchasing because that was a little more work than I like to be lazy. So in that case, knowing that's a color I'm going to use all the time, that's probably one I'm going to want to buy a few of those types of blues. But that did work. Let's see if it's better just to blend on the pastel itself. It might be easier. Okay, I think it's a little easier just to blend in the pan. And then I tested on the back of the pastel or the card. Now, the reason that I'm using this card and not just a piece of paper is a piece of paper is going to absorb that pastel more. I'm not really mixing in something that I'm going to be able to reuse. Here, it's not sticking to it that much. So not enough that I can't just lift it and apply it to the paper. But no, so yeah, I'm able to mix the color I wanted from those two colors, just like I would with paint. Yay! That makes me happy. I had no idea if it was going to work that well or not. Joe said, do you not offer prints for either of your Flower Girl pieces? I was browsing your site and couldn't find either Flower Girl or acrylic version. I don't think I have them as prints, but I need to update that. I will get that. I have to get that, and I have a few paintings I need to get photos good enough to take prints with that I just haven't done yet. But no, I'll make a point to include that next time I'm taking photos because I've got to get that. I've got to get the tiger in the water. I need to get the octopus, the surreal one from last year, and then the lion that I just finished. I need to get good photos for all of those. So yeah, I will work on that. This is actually working out really well for the color I wanted. I wasn't sure, so yay, so happy. MKF30 said, are you a gamer at all and know about the Mortal Kombat series? And is that a gerbil or a groundhog? Is what a gerbil or a groundhog? I wouldn't say I'm a gamer. I mean, I play World of Warcraft. That's really the only game I ever got into. I tried Final Fantasy, tried a few things, but that was, Aeon I played for a little bit, but I always go back to World of Warcraft. And I think it's because I don't have to play long and I don't have to invest a lot of time, which I don't have. So I can just play if I'm in the mood for a little bit, collect a few pets, work towards little things like that. That's the extent of it. So I wouldn't consider myself a gamer. I'm very casually playing really only the one game. And the Mortal Kombat series, yeah, I know about. I mean, my husband played those. I would consider, he's a full-on gamer. Rosalind said, I admire you for doing live stream. What made you decide to start, and when in your career did you start? I started doing YouTube videos in general I want to say it was around 2012. And I started doing that because my friend, I have my art hero, really. I learned early on, if Jaime suggested to do it, I should do it. And he told me before I was posting in progress photos of my work on, what was it? Flickr. And then linking that on my website. And he's like, you should just do a video. And so, again, like I said, if Jaime tells me to do it, it's a good idea. So I did that. I started making videos, and that's how I got started. I had no idea. Like, I didn't even know you could subscribe to people on YouTube at the time. So the live streams I started, oh, no, that wasn't it. I thought I got disconnected again. Like, no. The live stream, I don't even remember, 2 years ago or so, I started with the live streams. And it just sounded like something fun to try. And I didn't realize I was going to do it every week. But it's been fun. Wait. Oh, this goes down here. Pay attention, Lisa. Put the color where the color goes. You're supposed to be a professional. That shouldn't be so hard. Let's see. Wendy said, have you ever tried the B Company watercolor cotton paper? I have not. I've not even heard of it. Aggie said, you still play World of Warcraft? Anything else? Yeah, just World of Warcraft. I don't have time for I don't even have time for that. The last few days I've been so busy. I'll log in and like go to do dailies. I'm like, I don't even have time to finish this. I'm not interested. And log right back out. But I'll probably play tonight. Chicken will want to play tonight. But yeah, ooh, that's a nice clean line there. Yeah, I still play occasionally. I mean, I don't raid or anything that takes much time. Marissa said, have you ever used stick pastels? I have, and they are too dry I use the square ones, or the rectangles, and they were just too chalky on my hands. I hated the feel. Let's see, it's funny, I hate getting my hands dirty, but my favorite mediums are pastels and charcoal. You know, and it's funny you say that too, because the charcoal, I love the look of charcoal so much, and I just can't deal with it. Which is unfortunate, because it really is such a beautiful medium. But too messy, even this. I mean, this isn't very messy, but it's even that I don't like. I've gotten really neurotic about cleanliness as I've gotten older. Or like, not even, it's not an issue of being dirty. It's pastels. I mean, it's not dirt, right? But I don't know, messy, I guess. I don't like the messy. Claire said, how similar is it to use Pan Pastels compared to blending colored pencil with powder blender? Pan Pastels is definitely faster. The powder blender is going to go slower. You're going to have a bit more control though. With these, I mean, you're using kind of a big stick. You've got to get used to how that works. So there is a difference there. Also, the color that you guys are seeing on there, it looks like it's super blue. It's much more of a peacock blue. Like there's much more green in it than what's, picking up on that camera. Let's see. Water's kind of rippling out there. So yeah, the colored, I would say with the powder blender, it's messier, not because the powder blender, just colored pencils, and I'll get to that when I go on to this. The powder blender, or the colored pencils on sanded paper, there's more fall off than what you get with the Pan Pastels. This seems to be sticking much better. And then, I mean, you're dealing with a tiny, tiny point of a pencil versus here, I can apply it with this big sponge or those type of things, so it goes faster that way. And some people would prefer to take the time with the smaller pencil. I like both. It's not like I would give up one for the other, but so that's going to be personal preference. Andrew said, think you could have achieved a truly bokeh background like this? I'd assume yes. With what? Yes? With these, for sure. This is easy. Also, I should not scratch my nose with pastels on my hands. I'm going to have a white nose. I'm not sure what medium you mean, Andrew. Big Blue Art says, is there any parts of making videos that makes you a bit mad or at least get on your nerves? Well, when you're trying to do a live stream and all the technical problems decide to show up, that definitely gets on my nerves. You'll have times when you're editing things where everything just decides to go wrong. Like, just nothing is going to work for you for don't even know why. It just isn't going to work for you. I've had days like that. I had actually one when I was doing the peacock, or not the peacock, the pelican the other day, I was getting ready to edit, and just the transition, something as simple as the transition effect that I was using, couldn't get it to work. And it was a super simple, okay, my nose itches, but I have pastels over my hands. It was a super simple thing. I was missing one thing I had to click to make this specific transition pack work. I was just too tired at that point. I had to stop. And the next morning I pull it up, look up a video. There it was right away. Found the problem. But yeah, stuff like that definitely gets annoying. Or when everything just keeps crashing, and then that doesn't happen that often, but when it does, oh my gosh, you just want to kill your computer. So yeah, those I think are the most annoying things for me about making videos. And then of course, rude comments once the video is made. You put all this work into something that's free, and then somebody comes on and tells you how annoying you are, how annoying your voice is, picks apart everything you've done. And of course, they have no content. They don't know what it's like to actually make something. They only know how to complain. But that can definitely get on your nerves. Gail said, being a Caran d'Ache newbie, I have 2 luminance questions. Are they oil or wax based, and how should they be sharpened, long or short point? Luminance you can get away with fairly long. I don't go as long, like the super long point like I would on faber-castell, but you can go pretty long, like a lot longer than you would on a Prismacolor. So you're pretty good there with most sharpeners. I don't need to go super short on those like I would with the Prismacolor. Okay, so it's kind of funny. All of the pencils are a combination of wax, oil, clay, all kinds of things. When we use the term wax or oil based, what we're talking about is, does it lean more wax or more oil? It has both. Which one does it have more of between the two? So with, and it's funny because people will contact Faber-Castell or Caran d'Ache. We've seen this with both of them. Caran d'Ache, I've seen it with more. I'm going to wipe this off my hands. I'm building up in a whole lot of a mess. Just baby wipes, just to wipe off any pastel mess. But with people have contacted Caran d'Ache and said, are they wax or oil? And they'll say that their stuff that is considered waxier, or like, I mean, what we consider a waxier pencil, it blends smoother, it's thicker, it glides a little bit different, that it behaves differently than the ones that have more oil in it. And they actually came back and said, no, that's an oil base. The ones like Luminance that we know is considered traditionally a wax base, that they previously said was a wax base. Faber-Castell has had people contact them, and their response was, I don't know where people get that our pencils, that the polychromos are an oil base, because they're not, they're wax, they're whatever. I don't know who's telling you they're oil based. You, on your website, you are telling us right now on your website. I can go there. It says it's oil-based. So it seems like the people, whoever is working where, I don't know if it's the marketing people, I don't know who it is that's responding to the emails. There's a lot of misinformation. All of the pencils are wax and oil. They all have, I mean, they've got them both in it. It's a matter of how much of each. And so usually when, like, if I say something is wax or oil, I'm really referring more to the performance. And traditional, like I said, the Luminance is going to have more wax than the polychromos would. So we call the polychromos oil based, the Luminance wax based, but I mean, you get more into the science of things, and it's like it has both. It's just how much. So yeah, Luminance would be considered a wax base. The what are they called? Pablos. A lot of people said they were oil. Caran d'Ache now says that they're wax, and then I've heard them come back and say that they were oil. Like, they can't make up their minds. It just depends on who you ask at that given day, I think. So Luminance, though, I would consider oil. Even like the new Pro Color or Light Fast colors from Derwent are considered, they're listed as oil base, but they feel closer to a wax base. They're like somewhere, they're not as oily feeling, or I say oily, but like as hard of a lead. They perform much closer to somewhere in between a wax and an oil. Like, it's a real good combination of both. So yeah, I know it's confusing, but yes, most of us are going to call Luminance wax base, including the company themselves for years, until they got someone else in there that's like, nope, we lied, we're kidding. So there you go. I don't know how helpful that is. But the point is, with those, they are going to be more likely to break easier than like the oil base or the polychromos. So I wouldn't use like the Coom long pointed sharpener. I love that one for my polychromos. I don't think I would use that much on my Luminance, because that is going to snap with pressure. But you can use like a normal Coom, the metal. I think I've got some here. Is there one in here? Yeah. These little ones, these little metal ones. I don't think this one is a Coom. I don't know what this one is, but the Coom ones look just like this, and it's just a normal point, and that seems to work just fine for the luminance. If you're going to be pushing really, really hard, you may want something that's not quite as sharp or as fine of a point. Ruslan said, I was thinking of posting finished art on YouTube, but I'm very bad to do stage fright. Is it okay just to post finished pieces on YouTube? You mean just like, here's a picture of my finished painting by itself? No one's going to watch it. Very, very few people would be interested in that. The only reason I would post, like, when this is done, if I was like, here's a video of my finished thing, then the only place that would be seen is over on my website, where I'm like, here's the finished painting. You can see in person, like, what it looks like at the side or whatever. But you're not going to have anyone, like, you're not going to build a list of subscribers or anything like that. No one's really going to be interested in just seeing the finished painting. And I know someone's going to go, I'd be interested in it. You say that, but you watch those numbers, they're not going to grow. That's not the type of thing that people are interested in. Mostly with art videos and YouTube now, the majority of people want lessons. They want to learn. They want to see, like, the progression beginning to end. Even if it's just for entertainment, they want to see the progression from beginning to end. So you're really going to want to at least do that in most cases. And some people can do videos where they don't show themselves at all. I do recommend showing yourself because it's easier to get people that connect to you, and you do get over the stage fright. Trust me. If you go back and look at some of my earlier videos, oh my gosh, the awkward and the cringe factor was so high. Like, I was so stiff, so, like, for some reason, and I'm not a shy person, but you put that camera on me and I was like, I'm afraid to talk, so I'm just going to stand here and go really fast and just super stiff. It was really funny. You get over that the more you do it. So I would recommend doing more than just showing your finished painting. Sarah said, also my program doesn't autosave. Oh, that'd be frustrating. Yeah, save your work. That would definitely be something that would be frustrating. MKF30 said, would you prefer to do more still life or organic? And which medium is the least forgiving? Acrylics, I would say, is one of the harder ones to learn just because they dry so fast. Colored pencils can be too because they're so slow, and a lot of people have a hard time getting used to the fact that you're just going to be patient and go super slow. So those, but at the same time, those are two of my favorites. Once you get the hang of how to blend, how to work fast, like acrylics I can get something done in acrylics so much faster than pretty much any other medium. So it's not, once you get the hang of that would, I'd say they're fair giving, but not in the beginning. In the beginning, they dry too fast. And when someone's trying to learn blending and using the paintbrush, and the paint is drying so super quick, it can be a little frustrating. I'm not saying that to deter anyone or say you shouldn't start with acrylics. I started with acrylics, kind of. So it was one of my first ones. So I would definitely encourage that, but it still can, there's some stuff about it that can be a little bit frustrating, or, the blending factor, just because of how fast it dries. So it takes a little getting used to. Still life or organic? Organic. I love animals. I love wildlife. I like doing still life occasionally, but it's not something you would see me do like every day, all the time. I would definitely get pretty sick of it pretty fast. I'm going to put a slight reflection. Now, this guy on my actual reference photo that you can't see has a little bit of more of the reflection down here with the blue. So I'm just going to pull some of that in. I'm not going to do the full bear's face reflection. I'm going to keep that softer. I don't really want that on mine, but I do like the idea of a little bit of this teal color blending in. It's not a beaver. Does look like it though, doesn't it? He won't when I'm done, but he really looks like a beaver right now. I see why you would think that. Let's see, is there a story behind my hair's color scheme? No? I mean, no? This is my natural color back here, and then I bleach the front. There's the story. I get bored sometimes and start dyeing my hair. Well, I stopped dyeing the back because I got lazy when it was black. That was a lot of work to maintain because when my blonde roots start growing through, I look like I have a balding spot because it's so light. So I just got sick of doing that and decided to let my natural come through. The bleached front, I just have to do the roots, so that's easy. But yeah, I just got bored and decided to play with my hair. So there you go. There's the story. It's not very exciting. Katrina said, do you think if you take the large sponge, you'll be able to blend the pastels on it? I think it would soak into it. I think you could, but I think it's going to absorb more than what I would want it to. That's a good thought, though. I mean, yeah, if I could blend it on one, but then I have it on two, that would be worth playing around with. I could see instances where that would be handy even if it was on both, but you'd have to use a lot of pastel, I think, because you'd end up with it on both sponges that you were applying it with. Andy's RX Art said, what was your earliest live stream video? How did that go? And what have you learned about the live streaming since then? Oh, good question. Detailed question. My first one, I was working with, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure my first attempt was using my pigment markers from Winsor & Newton. And I did a tree frog. And I want to say that was the first one. I don't remember if I did one before that. That was definitely a challenge. And it was the first one I did by myself. I had done live streams before where it was a talking type live stream. Then I did the frog one. And so, OBS, figuring out how to set up OBS, figuring out how to have audio. Audio I was having a lot of problems with early on, as you'll see, like the problems buzzing, and it was just ongoing, trying to figure out what was causing it, and just figuring out all the technical stuff. And what was causing mine was just where I had the mic hooked up to. It was buzzing, it was vibrating. If something was, it was a whole thing. So, but it was like, not everybody's going to have that specific problem. So it's not really helpful to go through the details of how I fixed that. So it was just a lot of trial and error. Like no matter what you're doing, the problem you're having isn't necessarily like everybody has this problem when they get started. You've got to figure out with your setup. Unfortunately, and I wish that there was a way that somebody came through and said, here's the best camera, computer, cables, webcam, all the best stuff to live stream with. But there isn't. There's just a bunch of people using a bunch of different things that you just have to play around with, because you may use 3 things somebody else used that was having good luck, but one element was different, and now none of the things want to play together nicely. And it's just, I mean, it's hard to say as far as specifics what works and doesn't work, but it's constantly kind of that trial and error, figuring out what is going to work in your specific situation with your specific tools and what you're doing there. The other thing, and this is one I still have to remind myself, not to stress out too much when things go wrong, like tonight's live stream. Just, I don't know. I'm wondering now how much of it was, well, the camera wouldn't have been my internet. I don't know what's going on with the camera. But then my internet was going slow. And then I was having everything. Oh my gosh, itchy nose. You have to accept the fact that stuff's going to go wrong. Early on, I needed everything to be perfect. And before it would start, I'd be so stressed out. Oh my gosh, no, stop itching. I'd be so stressed out that what if this goes wrong, or what if that goes wrong? And now I've accepted it's probably going to go wrong, and I'm just going to deal with it. And I mean, I hate to waste people's time when I'm messing with stuff. You do everything you can to be prepared, but still, you can't control when it comes to technical stuff, I may just have to restart everything again, even though I thought I was as good as I could possibly be. So, you can't, you learn not to be frustrated when things go wrong, I guess. That was probably one of the bigger things I had to get used to, of not absolutely freaking out. Like tonight, it was annoying and a little bit stressful trying to figure out what's going on, but especially because you're announcing that the live stream is coming. I've got it on my email newsletter, which if you're not on my email newsletter, you should be. It's free. Linked in the description. But like I've announced there, I've announced on social media, like here it is, this is the day, this is the time, here's what we're going to be doing, and then nothing's working. And it's like, I feel like I let people down, and that sucks. And I had to get over the idea of being worried about that. Like you only have so much control. So that was probably I'd say that was the biggest thing I learned. Anything technical, like I said, would just be my specific case with my specific whatever I was using or not using, or what, all that stuff. I don't know how helpful that is. Let's see. Scroll. Gail wants to know if I will do a portrait of Nugget eventually. I need to get a good photo. That bird never holds still, so good luck with that. But yeah, I want to. Come on, stop scrolling too far. Now I scroll too far the other direction. Mitchie Fine Art said, kind of off topic, but doctor is testing me for fibro. Any suggestions for dealing with pain when you want to get some art done? Yeah, control your diet. That's the biggest tip I can give you for fibro. Fibro responds so much, and from what I've read, pretty much everyone is the same, responds so much to diet. I wouldn't take the pills. I don't want pain pills. I don't. The people I knew who took pain pills, Here's an example. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you not to take them. I'm going to tell you why I chose not to take them. You and your doctor need to decide what's best for you. But one of my friends kept posting about his mom. Constant pain with fibro, having the problems with fibro. And she was taking every medication the doctor gave her, and that medication would cause her liver to fail or her kidneys fail. It would cause all these different problems. So she's taking a medication to counter that medication and another one to counter that one. So she's on like 20 different medications, and every few weeks she's back in the hospital because her kidneys, her liver, her this, and pain on top of it. It wasn't even helping with the pain. She was in more pain than I had ever been in because she'd had it longer. But her it was non-stop. And he's constantly posting, you know, my mom's in the hospital again, my mom's dealing with this again, and how horrible and frustrating for his mom to have to deal with. But I had told him, I'm like, do it, switch to the raw vegan diet, give her a few months, you know, get a couple months. It just lets your body heal, and everything felt better until I wasn't getting enough protein. I can't do a lot of the things that you need to get protein with on a vegan or raw vegan diet. That makes me even more sick in some cases. So long term, it wasn't a good fit. But I learned, like, it was almost like an elimination diet. I pulled carbs, I pulled anything unnatural, any artificial sweeteners, even stevia I can't do. Oh gosh, that makes me sick. But which it's not supposed to, but oh, it does. I had to figure out what worked, and when I would or he'd talk about it, I'm like, dude, tell your mom what worked for me. If she's in this much pain, if she's like on the verge, her kidneys are failing because of the medications they could keep putting her on for the pain, have her try the diet. Oh, she's not going to do that. I mean, okay, I guess you're not desperate enough. Things must not be that bad if you're not willing to adjust your diet to feel better. So, it was frustrating for me to see. I had to unfollow him on Facebook because I was just like, I can't constantly watch that you posting what your mom's going through, but you guys aren't willing to do anything to try to make it better. You just keep taking more and more medications, which you're saying is making it worse, yet you keep doing it. The definition of insanity, right? You keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you what you should do. Talk to your doctor about that, but look into adjusting your diet. Cutting the carbs, the high carbs, they're inflammatory. And for most of us with fibro, we just can't handle that like a normal person can. What else so carbs, I can do all the fruit. So it's not like I had to cut that. I can eat all the fruit in the world and it will not cause a bad reaction with the fibro at all. I can even I don't drink the orange juice or the juice now because of the sugar factor, but like that kind of sugar didn't really cause any problems for me. I was fine with that. I'm fine with, I have to be gluten-free anyway because I have celiac disease, but keeping the carbs out and anything artificial, MSGs, no, like margarine, that's the fake butter, that does not work. Removing as much unnatural, man-made processed food. Oh my gosh, get rid of the processed foods. So you get used to it. It sounds like super scary at first, but it is so worth it because I don't have to take any pain medications for my fibro. Yeah, I mean, I'm more sensitive to pain. Like when I get sick, everything hurts worse on me than the average person would. But it's still like when I sprained my ankle, that shouldn't have been a big deal. I went into shock because the pain was so severe. So yeah, that sort of thing happens. But the everyday, like where I used to feel like I was being stabbed all over the place, it was horrible. Gone. I haven't had to deal with that in years. The only time, like the first thing I'll start to notice when I cheat a few times a year and have a lot of carbs, like from, I love mashed potatoes. Oh, my knees will hit it. And if I do it like a few days in a row, I'll really start feeling it in my knees. Rice isn't as bad as potatoes, but it's only if I have it a couple of times a month, maybe. Like it's not, I can't do it regularly and I'll feel my knees first. Will start causing a lot of pain. But that would be my biggest thing. Talk to your doctor about diet and I didn't jump into medication because I knew the side effects of the medications they give. Also, the pain medications don't typically work for fibromyalgia. So I don't even know. I don't know if people think they're doing better, like they're trying to help themselves. Help yourself. Try the diet thing first. Figure out what may or may not work best for you. Diet-wise is what I would recommend. But again, not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm telling you what worked for me and what I've observed from other people that have gone through it. Let's see. But good luck. I'm sorry you have it, but it's not like when you first hear about it, that you have it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I can't believe I'm gonna have to deal with this. I've seen people who end up bedridden. Me too. I needed to find out, how do I not end up like them? I don't want to be and I was one of those people for a couple of years. I didn't want to live that way. And so you start looking for, what did people who had fibro, who got over that and started feeling better, what did they do differently than those who end up in a bed? And that's the advice I would say to go for. Um, Judy said, I love your hair and it looks great at a shorter length. Thank you. What are your thoughts on using a retard with acrylics to help blend? I don't like it. It changes the consistency of the paint. I absolutely hate it. Say either paint fast or use water. You can get an airbrush. Or I have the dual action. This is my Grex airbrush. You can use that, or you can use a, if you get a cheap hobby kit, I've got it listed. There should be a link on my video or the supply list for acrylics on my website. That is going to give you just misting water, will give you way better results than the retarders. Just make the paint different. I don't like the texture. I don't like the consistency. I don't like anything about it. So not my preference. I've known of people who used it and it looked cool. Not many. Most people go with water like what I'm doing, or just paint fast. Big Blue Art said, you say sometimes you want your lights light enough and your darks dark enough. Would that be the first thing to begin doing, or should I wait until later, just overall? Oh, incorporate that now. Yeah, I mean, definitely incorporate getting your values where they should be from the beginning. That's always something that you can focus on. Focus on getting your drawing accurate. That's a big thing when you're first starting that you really want to master. And then let's see that. And just getting the feel for the technique. If you're using paintbrushes, just how to blend the colors, how to make your brush stroke, how to blend, that sort of thing. I wouldn't worry too much, no matter what medium you're working in. Color is not what I would focus on. It would be values, accurate drawing, in blending. Whatever medium you're working in, you need to learn to blend. Or get the hang of blending versus when you want a sharp line and a harsh line. And those are the things I would say to focus on when you're beginning. But yeah, I would definitely focus on your lights light enough, dark enough early on. Because it's not that hard to do. You're not worried about color. You're worried about your values. And if that's hard for you to do, even when working in color, work in black and white for a while. Master it in black and white. It'll make it so much easier when you go into color. Plus, if you're working in a medium like oils or acrylics, working in black and white makes it easier too, because you're not trying to blend color on top of it in general anyway. It makes it way easier to learn the medium, like how to blend the acrylics, how to blend the paint, how to just get the paint on there and have the brush strokes the way you want them, is so much easier just in black and white than it is when you start mixing another color, because you're trying to mix the color and get it on before it dries and all of that. You can simplify it, do everything in black and white for a while, master that, master your values, master your brush strokes, master all of that, and then start adding in color as when you get more color or more experience. And I'm not saying you need to wait years to start with color, but do a couple of paintings in black and white. It really will make it easier. Rosalind said, my son says I need to join the 21st century. I don't even have a website yet. Just post on Facebook once in a while. I'm new at this thing. Yeah, if you are going to be serious, if you want to sell your artwork, or if you want people to really follow you and be like, know that you're serious, that you're not like, it depends on if you want to be a hobbyist. I won't worry about it. If you want to start selling your work, you want people to start taking you and your artwork more serious, get that website up, because social media can come and go at any point. I mean, how many people have stopped using Facebook because of all their dramas and the stuff that Facebook does? If people stop using those social media platforms, do they know how to get a hold of you? Not if you don't have a website. I mean, your own friends and family, sure, but you want a website, and people will take you more seriously in that they will know you're more serious. If you take the effort to put a website, you can do a free website, like Wix has them. I think Weebly's one. They've got a lot of those that are free, just something to get yourself started. So I'm with your son on this. Kim Richmond said, looking for sharpener advice for Holbein colored pencils. Well, I don't use Holbein, so I can't tell you there. I believe that they're a harder lead, so anything that you would work with the polychromos should be fine. Don't scroll too far. And there. I knew it was going to do it as soon as I lifted my finger. Come on. Where was that? Oh my gosh, way too far. Here we go. Colleen said, do pictures of artwork taken with an Android phone look professional to make prints with? No. Good camera. It's not, see, you have to understand when it comes to photography, it's not just about people think it's all megapixels. It's 25 megapixels, it's enough. Yeah, but the quality's not going to be the same. So no, right now, absolutely not. Okay, if you're doing little prints like postcards, you can probably get away with it. You need to start blowing things up. It's noticeable. The lens you use matters. I strongly recommend a good DSLR for prints. If you're going to be doing like poster size. And again, oh my gosh. Again, even if it's not, the megapixels can be big enough, but it still won't look quite as good, quite as sharp. Let's see. Steve said, just recently purchased the Derwent Lightfast pencils and I love them so much. Do you know when they'll be releasing the rest of the line? I don't, and I hope it's soon because I love them too. Just got the Polychromos and Luminance pencils. Do you decide to use based on color? Do they both blend well with turpentine and each other? Yes, they work great with each other, both with the paint thinners. I usually decide based on if I want something super smooth blended, like skin tones. I like my wax base, so my luminance. If I've got a lot of tiny, tiny detail, then I'm going to like fur, hair, around the eyes, the little stuff. I switch over to my Polychromos. Or sometimes it is just based on color. What camera am I using to record? It's not listed. To record, it's the Canon something. It's listed in my other videos usually. I can't see. Canon HD something. I don't know. I think Sarah knows. Sarah Makes Art, I think, has the same one or something similar. It's like an HG. I don't know. I can't see it on this right now, and I can't really move it in order to look. But the webcam that you're viewing is the Logitech. I don't even know what these are listed as. Logitech. I don't know. That is not helpful at all. I can't remember. CE30. I don't know. Actually, does it tell me on this? It might tell me on OBS. Hold on. Let's see. I may screw everything up by doing this. Logitech C930E is what the webcam I'm using. They're not amazing. They're getting me by, but they really need to be upgraded. But then so does my computer because I don't think it could handle something more. So anyway, money I don't have. So the camera though, it's like the Canon GH, I don't know, there's a G, there's an H and an X. I don't know. Sarah, are you still here? I think you know what it is. Let's see. I am not helpful at all. I apologize. Di says, I love realism, but I suffer with double vision, and getting details down can be challenging for me. That would definitely be hard. I mean, more impressionism may be a better fit for you, or something where you can do the looser brushstroke, but still you can make your stuff look realistic based on your values. Your light's light enough, dark's dark enough, get that high contrast and stuff. You can really make beautiful work that way. If details are too hard for you to see, I'd imagine that would give you headaches trying to focus on details with realism. Try getting into some impressionism that looks real at a distance, where you can see those brushstrokes. They are looser, but the lighting is so amazing. Like you may like that. I would try that if I were you. Judy said, I've tried Liquitex Basics, Golden Heavy Body, and now oils. Guess next will be Pan Pastels and colored pencil. Oh, you're turning into me. Got to use all the mediums. Everything's so fun. I want to use everything. Let's see. I'm going to actually go ahead and pull out some of the colors. I'm going to get the base on. I'm going to put details on all of this, but with the pencils. So I'm going to switch over to the polar bear. Let's get some colors on him. I'm going to put my things in here. Let's see, what colors do I need? And gray and maybe a bit of blue. It's kind of a purpley blue, I think. I don't know. That'll work. Okay. Let's see. Let's wipe some of the blue off and just jump in here. Let's see. Sir, I don't know how to say your name. Have you used any more Derwent drawing pencils in your works besides your trusty wet? All of them. I love all of them. I so recommend picking up that set. If you don't have the Derwent drawing colored pencils, they're all light fast. They're muted tones. You're not going to get a lot. Like, they wouldn't be your only colored pencil. I need to flip this over. Your only colored pencil set. You will definitely need other pencils to use in addition to those. But, oh my gosh, just like, if I need something super smooth, skin tones, or even the background, wonderful. I love the whole set of Derwent drawing. Like I don't know why I waited so long to get them. Like I used the Derwent drawing for so long. Common sense says, hey, you should use the rest. And the funny thing is, Derwent had sent me them a long time ago, and it took me forever before I finally pulled them out and used them. And then once I used them, I'm like, how have I lived without these? They're amazing. Super soft. They break easy because they're so waxy, but oh, do they blend nice. Kathy said, would love to see this new easel that you're using and loving so much. Yeah, I need to do a full, it's big, so I have to like back the camera way up. I need to do a full review on this. Let's see. Lumen said, last summer, you and some people in the chat recommended getting rid of sugar from my diet to stabilize my energy throughout the day, and it's really helped a lot. That is awesome. Yeah, I cut sugar. I mean, besides fruit, I'll still eat fruit, but like actual sweeteners, like in my coffee, I just now do heavy cream. For example, I cut all of like sugar. When was that? And everything has sugar, so it was really annoying. Back sometime I think in the summer, and it definitely, it was good. I was hoping it would cause me to lose more weight. It didn't. The joys of getting older. Kim said, I make mashed cauliflower instead of potatoes. Yes. Oh my gosh. And I need to do that more. It makes your apartment smell horrible, but oh, is it tasty. So yeah, I haven't made that in way too long. I need to. Oh, now I want that now. I'm going to have to do that probably this weekend. I think I'll be making some now that you mention it again. That sounds really good. Like potatoes, is what we call them. They're really good. My husband doesn't want to eat them because it weirds him out that like we put cream cheese and stuff in it, and or when I was making it before, and he got all weirded out by the concept of, because he thinks cream cheese is gross. He doesn't eat it. I don't know why you think the way it looks or something like that. I'm like, ugh. But now that he eats so many more vegetables than he used to, because his diet is super strict now, more so than mine, and he's willing to try more vegetables. So I'm gonna have to try some and see if he'll eat it now. Teacher said, thank you so much for sharing the diet and pain. Can you drink coffee? I can. Coffee, the only problem I have with caffeine, any caffeine, is that my adrenaline is always, it has a tendency, I have problems with my adrenaline. It wants to overreact, and it makes me super nauseated when it does. So as long as I can do 1 cup in the morning, 1 cup at night, and no tea. Usually I do herbal tea, or I can just do tea. Tea has a tendency to make my adrenaline more angry than coffee does for some reason. But coffee will wake me up where tea never will. So yeah, I can, coffee hasn't caused any problems, and I've had time where I've completely cut all caffeine. I noticed no difference whatsoever as far as the fibromyalgia symptoms went. So, yeah, the coffee for me anyway has been fine. Rosalind said, I'm a diabetic and I have neuropath and allergic to pain meds, so I'm trying to diet change. Sugar is the curse in my life. I cannot do carbs at all. I'm trying keto now. I hope that works for you. It really made such a difference for me when I changed. I mean, such a difference, because I had gotten to the point where I was just in bed all the time. I was sick all the time, and you're laying there going, I don't want to live like this. I mean, at the time I was like 30, and I was like, this isn't, or 29, 30, right around there. It's like, this is not how I want to live the rest of my life. And I had friends trying to talk me into like, just go on disability. It'll be easier. Just go on disability. Because I was having so many problems financially. And I was like, but this isn't what I want. I've got to figure out a way to make it work. And I got desperate, and I'm like, somebody has to have found something. So I just did a Google search, and I used the terms, how I cured my fibromyalgia. Like, someone had to have written an article of getting rid of it. And that's where I came across all of the different things in diet that you can change that really made a big difference. It makes a difference in for a lot of things. Oh, thanks, Lori. There, look, scroll too far. Shocker. Oh, come on. Where was it? Kathy says, I've never had much luck with fixative. I've only seen you use it once so far. Will you use it at the end of the painting or only in between layers? I'm probably going to get a base on the polar bear, use it again, and then just cut, every several layers use it. On my owl, I just put it at the end and it was fine. But this, they do recommend using in between. Marcel says, love the ripples of the water under the chin of the bear. Thanks. Oh, I want to do more ripples. There's going to be a lot of detail there with the colored pencils. Andrew said, by the last name, I feel it's my duty to have a go at painting an acrylic peacock you did. You should. Peacocks are fun to paint. I love those guys. I've done several. I have 2 of them hanging on my walls in the living room. Well, one's in the dining room, one's in the living room, which it's an apartment. It's all kind of the same. Marcel said, are you sitting on a giant beach ball? No, not right now. I do sit on one when I'm at my desk. So when you see me do live streams over there, I'm bouncing around the whole time. No, I'm on a normal stool. Sarah said, I use the Canon Vixa HFR20. Is that what mine is? Yeah, mine's something. I think mine's like an H. There's maybe an X or a G. Mine's similar. I don't know. I knew you used something that was very similar to mine. MKF30 said, would you ever start your own art supplies brand like Bob Ross, and how do colorblind people become artists without trouble? Colorblind people, I don't know. I don't know very much about it. I mean, obviously you can work in black and white and focus on your values. That's what's going to make all the difference. I don't know other than that. But for my own art supplies brand, I have no interest in it. I would rather use art supplies from a company who is an expert in what they're making, that has researched everything, that knows exactly what they're doing, that is responsible, you know, all the tests and all the stuff. I really don't have any interest in getting into that. I would rather just use other people's stuff that they took the time to research and do stuff. I mean, that's one of the problems I have. I'm always hesitant to try a lot of new art supplies because if it hasn't been out very long, then how much testing has been done? Do I know how long this, you know, is this, am I going to find out in 10 years that the new paint that just came out is just going to start peeling off the canvas? So I want to be, I like to stick with companies who are making stuff that's been around and really been tested longer, and that are experts in their field. So no, I have no interest in doing my own. I mean, I like the idea of having my name on something, but I'm not going to do that. If I made a art supply that people were using and selling and it failed on them years later, oh my gosh, I would feel so guilty. I'm not even touching that. Tamara said, sorry about the repeat, but I wanted your excellent opinion. Do you think a video editing newbie would be good with Power Director? Adobe Premiere Pro CC is giving me fits. Okay, so Adobe Premiere Pro slows me down because it has so many things it can do, and of course I want to do all the things with it. It's a lot harder to learn Premiere Pro. I did really well. Power Director worked, and I could still do everything with Power Director, or most things with Power Director. I liked Power Director for a lot of what I was doing. There are things once you learn how to do it in Premiere Pro that are way better. But it would be very hard. I think, I'm actually going to stop this. I think it would be very hard. I'm just going to get caught up in questions since we're towards the end anyway. But it would be very, very hard to jump straight into it. Or it would have for me anyway. It would have been very hard for me to learn Adobe Premiere Pro first. Not having experience with the simple, you know, the Power Director is very simple. It can only do so much, but because it can only do so much, it's easier to kind of get your feet wet and get started with that. I don't like, and one of the reasons that pushed me away from it, I don't like the new model that Power Director seems to be going. They want to do the monthly subscription thing. I won't do that. I don't think their product is remotely worth that. If I'm going to do a monthly subscription, I'm going to do Premiere Pro. But once you learn how to do stuff on Premiere Pro, I've spent like, gosh, most of, what month was that? It was before I started doing live streams again. Or wait, no. When was I doing that? I don't know. I had taken a break. I wasn't doing a lot of work and used that as a reason. Or maybe it was during summer. I don't know. I used it as a way to start getting the hang of Premiere Pro, and it was definitely slower for me to get the hang of. Now that I can do so much more with Premiere Pro, but because you can do so much more, you can also screw up so much more. And then, wait, crap, I just lost this window. How do I get this window back? Like the most random things, I swear. All the time. Or I can't make this transition work if I don't hit this one button that I would never have noticed if I didn't watch that video 8 times to catch it, or the tutorial I was watching. So there's definitely more to it. I can understand where it's giving you fits. It's harder. You absolutely, if you are new, Power Director is really going to do everything you need. That's all my videos were Power Director for like the last 5 years or something. I don't know how long it's been, 4 years. I don't know, a very long time. I've been using Power Director and I was perfectly happy with it. I just got to the point finally where it's like, okay, there's more that I want to be able to do that I can't do with that. But I've already, you know, gotten really comfortable with Power Director. So when I went into Premiere Pro, I still had a lot to learn. But it was easier because a lot of things in Premiere Pro are similar. I mean, most editors have certain things that are similar that you'll be able to do, or you know what a certain, like, syncing audio. I know that term and that it's going to be available here because it was available on this program, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I love Premiere Pro, but when you were first getting started, very frustrating, and Power Director was really good for me for many, many years. Thank you, Joseph. It's the Canon Vixia HF-G20 HD. Thank you, Vixia. I could not remember that, and I can't even see where that is over there, so I'm glad you guys know my stuff better than I do. I have no memory. Sergui, still can't say. My fellow Romanian artists should hear you out. Derwent drawing doesn't sell in my country, and they might get pulled out from the market soon. Sadness. Oh, see, and it's bad because even here, we didn't, like, people weren't really talking that much about Derwent drawing other than I was hearing a lot with the Derwent drawing Chinese white because it's, I'm going to get pastels all over my nose from itching again. Because so many people were, it was so opaque. It's like the most opaque white. Once I tried the rest of them, I was like, how did I go all this time without it's such a good set. I really wish more people would try it. And it's fairly inexpensive for a set of pencils. Like, it does not cost that much. And they're excellent, excellent pencils in combination with your other pencils. Again, they're limited on color. And I think that's why a lot of people don't buy them, because they think they only need one brand. They don't need to use a whole bunch of different brands, or they don't want to use a bunch of different brands. But when you use a bunch of different brands together, you get the best of everything. So yeah, I even here, you don't have as many people using them as after using them, like, how are people not raving about these? But yeah. Urzi said, I know you can make a lot faster in pastels. It's a great medium used for drawing and painting supers. Yeah, it's super fast. And in this right now looks like absolute crap. This is just my base layers, but we had enough problems tonight. I'm not getting far on this. So I apologize for that. But you can see how quickly, I mean, it really does layer down. If I were focusing and not answering questions and just getting this done, I'd have all of this done in like 20 minutes. Can you imagine how long that would take me in colored pencil? So this underneath colored pencil is so amazing. Barbara said, do you finish the same day or during the week? During the week, usually. I very few things do I get done in one day. I can get a lot done in one day, but I usually won't. I usually am like, oh, I'm going to work for a few hours here and a few hours there, and it just all adds up. I will be doing, for those of you on Patreon, we've got a Patreon-only live stream, a colored pencil live stream this Saturday. That will all be one day. So I occasionally stuff like that, but Sarah said, story about your withdrawal after, your story about your withdrawal after quitting sugar made me resolve never to quit sugar cold turkey. But if anything, slowly taper off. And you know what's funny? I technically slowly did taper off because I didn't have much sugar in my diet at the time that I cut it out all the way. So, yeah, the withdrawals of sugar, that was real. The withdrawals of sugar are what make me say I don't want to go back to it. And what did I have? I had something the other day, and I think that there was sugar in it. And like over the next couple of days, I found myself like I craved wanting to eat, but nothing sounded good. And I'm like, oh, it's the sugar again. That is so frustrating. Debbie said, have you tried Grumbacher oil? I like it. How do they compare with the Winsor & Newton oils? I would say that the Grumbacher, I actually would say I slightly like it better. It just isn't, it wasn't being sold by Hobby Lobby or Michael's or the places I was going, so I never really got a whole bunch. I think I probably will end up getting more, but I like the Grumbacher. Like, the consistency is very smooth. I have zero complaints about that paint. And the Winsor & Newton Artist I really like because that has a nicer consistency than the Winton color. I have to thin out more with liquid in order to get it to a decent consistency. The Grumbacher, I really, really liked. They have a water-soluble oil I didn't like, but the regular oil I really liked. But I don't like water-soluble oil, so you can't take my opinion there. Let's see. Oh, and scroll too far. Is Caran d'Ache a good brand to use? And why are some brands toxic as opposed to non-toxic like cobalt blue and cadmium yellow? It's the pigment that they're using. Certain pigments are toxic. So it's not really so much the brand as the pigment that brand is putting into certain colors. So you can have things like a cadmium hue that is not as going to have the same thing as the cadmium, the actual like original pigment. You can have a very... It's not the real cadmium. You have the knockoffs or fake stuff that tends to be non-toxic, whereas the real color, the difference in color, I can't tell, honestly. It's not a big enough deal to me. I'd rather have the non-toxic version. So it's funny because I did the testing with Liquitex sent me their cadmium-free colors, a set of those versus the ones that had cadmium in them. And I didn't know, I'd never used the cadmium ones myself. All mine were the hues. And when I did the test, I couldn't tell the difference in the color. Honestly, it was so minor. It was just not even important. But yeah, it's a difference of the pigment used, but some artists are still really picky and they want the original, like the real pigment thing. They say that they can tell a difference. I don't know, maybe it's just my lighting in this room. I can't tell a big enough difference for it to matter to me. Let's see. Tamara said, I appreciate the advice. Adobe Premiere Pro is making me crazy. Definitely going to go back down to Power Director. Water is looking great with just a little effort. Thank you. Yeah, and the Power Director, it's a good program. Like, I was happy with it. I just don't like that they were it looked like they were leaning from what people were talking about and what the reviews I was reading towards a more, like, you can pay monthly type thing. And I guess that works as long as it's not a committed thing where I have to pay monthly for the next 6 months. If you were like, I want to pay monthly to see if I really like this, and maybe eventually then I'll move up to Power Director and or not Power Director, Premiere Pro, and it would save me money to do it monthly, maybe that would be good. But that I wasn't super in love with that concept. But yeah, I used it forever. Jason Morgan uses it. I think he's still using that one. It does a lot. There are certain things like the transitions and the little pop-up windows and some of the stuff that I do in now, or that I've been doing on my videos, I couldn't do with Premiere Pro, but they're not necessary. Or not Premiere Pro, with Power Director. Too many words. But honestly, you don't have to have them, especially if you're just getting started. Use what's easier. Get the hang of that. And there's just it's kind of like when I talk about painting. You know, don't use every color you have. Simplify the palette. Simplify it until you get the hang of it, and then add additional colors. And I think that can be the same when it comes to video editing. Go simple first and then jump into the hard stuff. Okay, 10:07, and I know we started late, but I'm going to finish because my dog's, one's on prednisone. She has to go outside to potty a lot, and I'm not going to make her wait longer. So we're going to wrap this up. Hi, too much information. Thank you guys for joining and putting up with the ridiculousness of my technical problems. And I will, as I go, I'll obviously be posting on Instagram, and mostly I post my in progress on Instagram. Sometimes, no, yeah, lately all the in progress has been Instagram. So follow me over there if you want to see the progression of this as I get going. And I'm kind of excited about this one. I really like the design. The reference photo is beautiful, so hopefully I'll do it justice here. But like I said with this, I'm going to continue layering the base here. So like the blacks and the grays and the browns, all in polar bear. Once I'm done with that, I'll go through with my pencils to get the detail in the hairs. And I'm excited for that. And yep, thanks for joining. And I'm going to attempt not to be a jerk this week. I should have mentioned this earlier. Make sure to check out our moderators channel. We've got Valerie, Nick, Edgar, and Joseph Fincham. Their links for their channels are below in the video description. Actually, is Valerie here? I don't even know if Valerie's here. Check out her channel either way. It's awesome. And thank them for helping me because, oh my gosh, I could not do this without them. So they're a huge help. Definitely check out their art channels here on YouTube. And thank you guys for joining. I don't know what we're doing next week. Not a clue. It'll be something. Probably it will be my computer crashing because that seems to be a thing. Good night, guys.